rings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, stills nights get loud. Big EQP, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it on a Sunday. I'm losing track of days, bro. I am losing track of days. The shit is getting hectic, bro. Shit's getting hectic, but we in here and we're ready to go. I'm actually still like trying to get all my shit together here because yeah, man, it's been a long day. Just packing for my trip, packing my daughter up into the big truck. It's not that big of a truck, actually. She doesn't have a ton of stuff. Luckily, there's no big items like lots of furniture or anything like that. We broke her bed down. She has a like dresser pretty much. Yo, what up, Patrick? Yes, man, you do definitely got to get here soon. Maybe jump on a pod or at least come hang out. We haven't been up there in a while either, so it's been a minute since we've seen you, man. It's been a minute. So appreciate you for jumping in and checking out the stream and saying what's up. That's always appreciated. Good to hear from you. Shit's been hectic on my side, like I said, and fucking yeah, man. We start traveling tomorrow, so I'll be on the road for 3 days, fucking across the country. It's a goddamn shame. But you know, it is what it is. It'll be an adventure. Like I said, I'm gonna be just getting some footage, making some videos and stuff, and I'll be posting Thursdays. Of course, I will post as if it's a regular show. I will post it up there and have it ready to go so that I'll talk about whatever's going on with MMA and any combat sports throughout the week. I'll try to gather as much information as I can. It'll be a different kind of show. If you watched my show in when I was in Vegas, it'll be that kind of show probably. It came out pretty good using my phone, so I'll probably just use that, record it, and then I'm gonna splice in some other stuff too, because like I said, I'll be kind of documenting my journey here that I'm taking as we take my daughter to her new home, which is the sad part. It's not bad, it's sad. Just sad because, you know, my daughter's leaving. So it's starting to kick in a little bit, man. We're here now. We're like, normally as soon as I get on the show, in here for an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, next thing you know, the night's gone. And we wake up early in the morning to get going on the road. So I know the rest of the time is going to be short. But we're here. I wanted to make sure I got the show in to do the recap. It might be a little quicker than normal, but that's because I still got some shit to do. I'm not taking any of my equipment with me because, yeah, I have to fly back. We're flying back, so I need to make sure that I have enough stuff for the trip, because we'll be gone from Monday until Sunday, and then flying back on Sunday, and it's gonna, I can't have a ton of shit, and this is all valuable to me. So I definitely don't want to take it. It's not a normal trip like I do for work. So, and I won't have time because we're going to be spending time with them, checking out the new areas that they'll be living in and stuff like that. So, and helping them get set up and settled in. And I think we're going to an event or something like that, so we got things going on, and I don't want to be, taking too much time out of that. I'll miss being live though. That's for goddamn sure. It's been a hell of a couple weeks. I've been on live for like 3 times a week for the past few weeks, it feels like. But it's been fun, man. It's been fun, and I appreciate everybody out there that's been tuning in and supporting and interacting on the live streams and stuff. And it's just been fun, man. So I'm gonna miss it for sure. But like I said, I'll be putting content out there. So if you're subbed, make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I do post something. And if you're not subbed already, please do that as well. And if you like what you see and you like checking out the show, hit that subscription. And if nothing else, at the least, hit that like button. I'd appreciate that. Dropping a like down there helps my channel too. So yeah, that'd be cool. Appreciate that. And yeah, so before, man, Sunday's been crazy, Antoine. Sunday's been crazy, man. Got a lot going on. So let me give a shout out to my sponsor, of course, Noctane Smelling Salts. Definitely got to get this in there so I can get nice and awake and alert. I'm gonna be using these on the road, that's for damn sure, because I'm taking both bottles because yeah, man, I gotta make sure I stay awake on that drive. So here we go. Let's get a nice big whiff in here. This is the most potent bottle with the red cap. I say it all the time, but I always like to remind you. So if I have a harsh reaction, that's why. Here we go. Oh my God. Oh, that was one. That was a big one. Ooh. No, it's oh my God. You see how watered my eyes are? That's how you know that shit got me good. Wow. Ooh, I needed that though, man. I'm tired, bro. It's just like, oh my God. It's been a day and I've been moving shit all day. I'm not crying. I'm literally just reacting to my smelling salts because that shit got me good. But I needed it. I definitely needed it. And yeah, thank you to Noctane. Scan that QR code on the screen. There's a link in the description below, as always. And I promise you, if I was crying, I would just, admit to it. But damn, those things got me good right now. It's probably the best one I've had on stream in a while. Holy shit. Link in the description below if you want to check out Noctane. This shit'll wake you up. You just saw my reaction. But yeah, thank you, Noctane, for the sponsorship. Appreciate that. Antoine. No, it was just a dinner with me and my two daughters and my wife. Extended families all over the place and stuff like that. So, we're a real tight-knit group here in the house. So but yeah, I've been up since like 6, probably 6, 5:30, 6, I think. And just nonstop since. And then the other craziness is we have my daughter's boyfriend's dog, well, their dog, but he stays at her boyfriend's house. And since he's been gone, he's been with his parents. So now he's here because we have to wake up early and leave, and he's traveling with us. So that's going to be an adventure of its own. But as of right now, I have 2 little yappy ass dogs that like to think they're bigger than they are. And yeah, they are they don't know each other well. And of course, the little ones are going to be territorial. So it's been a minute. I mean, it's been a wild few minutes since they got here and before the show. That's why I was late trying to get things going. Yeah, man, Infinity, I'm hoping that nothing like that happens, but we're gonna have to be stopping and stuff. It's gonna be interesting, that's for sure. Hey, what's up, Pops? Thank you again. My dad's great, man. He's watching the dogs for us at the house and house sitting, and it's a chore with these 2 little fuckers. So yeah, he's covering for us after my younger daughter leaves. So yeah, I appreciate that, Pops. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna have these with me on my trip to keep myself awake. Holy shit, that one got me good. Hey Mom, what's going on? My mom's in the chat too. How you doing? Appreciate that, Mom. I love you, and I'll definitely try to call you tomorrow at some point in time. Things have just been so crazy. We've been nonstop all day. But I appreciate that, Mom. Thank you for jumping in here and telling me that I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. But yeah, let's hope that the dog does well, and let's hope everything goes good on this road trip, and it goes kind of quick so we can get to where we're going and just get through it all, man. But I don't want it to go too fast, because then that means I got to leave my daughter, and that's just a whole other thing. It's gonna hit me hard when it's time to leave. But right now, we were talking about it earlier. Right now, it hasn't hit that hard because we're busy. We're busy doing stuff. And on top of all that, we know we're not leaving yet. Like, she's leaving. We're leaving tomorrow, but she's not just leaving. We're all leaving. So, we still got time. All 4 of us are going to be together up there. And we're going to say our goodbyes up there, so we'll be leaving her at her destination, and then we will be leaving. So that's when I'm sure the everything will kick in. And then I have to have a nerve-wracking plane trip, and that's going to make it tough too. But listen, man, that's life. They got to grow up. They got to move on. Hector's running 3-spoon engines with T88 turbos. That's family, man. It's all about family. Thanks, David. I got that one. But yes, it is all about family, and it's cool. So appreciate that, man. Thanks for entertaining my my stories here, and we're gonna get to the MMA here pretty quick. So Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it is. That's what's going on. And yeah, let's get to it because we had some interesting matchups, some interesting fights, and some good content happening over the weekend. So we'll get right into it, and we'll talk about what happened over the weekend. And first, I'll hit up a little bit of news because, as we know, we had a big announcement happening on Saturday night. Kind of some underhanded shit, but that's how it goes. We had the announcement of Conor McGregor finally returning officially, and McGregor versus Holloway 2 is happening. Obviously, it was rumored. I talked about it a bunch, about how that seemed to be the rumor, and usually when you hear people like Ariel Helwani and a lot of the other guys that are out there that kind of have inside info talk about it a lot and expect that to come. Brendan Schaub as well. He knows, he's got connections to all these people, and you know, these guys, they don't definitely keep their mouth shut as much. So they give hints and stuff. You got to listen closely, but they give hints, and then sometimes they're just outright with it. This one was a little more outright, and so we kind of knew it was coming. But McGregor versus Holloway 2, I think it's a good matchup. You know, Holloway has not been a champ for a while. He was the BMF. He just lost it. You know, Conor's been out for a minute, hasn't won a fight in a while, since that Donald Cowboy Cerrone fight. And you know, he's coming back from an injury. He was supposed to be back and fight Chandler, and he never did. I'm napkin weight. Damn, my nose is running now from the damn smelling salts. Holy shit. But yeah, so I think it's a good matchup, you know what I mean, except for the fact that Holloway obviously has been fighting nonstop since while Conor's been gone. So we'll see how good Conor comes back. Does he bounce back from that injury well? Is he gonna have a lot of ring rust? And if so, you know, how's that gonna affect him? And will his natural skills that he has and that we've seen from him, you know, shine through and still be able to overtake Holloway? I don't know. But Chicken McGregor.
Damn, son.
Oh, here you go.
Just one more chicken. I'm gonna take his head off.
There you go, Hamzat with the chicken line. But yeah, man, I'm rooting for Holloway. Listen, I like Conor, don't get me wrong. And if you notice, my Conor picture's gone, the one with Cowboy. That was actually my daughter's. She had me put it up in here until they moved out, and she took it down today, and I was like, it's all good, take it down. I got another poster I'm gonna put up there, but that was hers because she loves Cowboy too. And her boyfriend is a big McGregor fan, so it was like the picture was divided between the two. The house is divided between the two, so it's a perfect picture for them at their new place. So she'll be taking that with her. But I appreciate her letting me, you know, keep that up in the room for a little while. But yeah, we got this matchup finally happening July 11th. Yeah, I love Cowboy, man. I was talking about him the other day with I got, you know, a graded PSA 10 card auto. I met him a couple times. That's a picture of me with him down there. And yeah, Cowboy's been a favorite of mine for a long time. So it'd be nice to, you know, if he would have been able to get that win over McGregor. But let's hope that Holloway does. Holloway's another big favorite of mine as well. And you know, he's looking to bounce back from that shitty kind of performance that happened with that BMF title. So hopefully we get some action in this one, and I'm pretty sure we will, because I don't think McGregor's looking to take this to the ground. You know how he is. So it should be an interesting matchup, and we'll see if Holloway can come back and get revenge on Conor McGregor in their second matchup, since they've both been on a tear for a long time, both of them being champions. And you know, McGregor got the best of Holloway in their first matchup when McGregor was first coming up and Holloway was brand new in the UFC. So yeah, McGregor made that rise to the top quickly, and Holloway followed, you know, a little while later down the road. But Holloway, a great champ, BMF champ as well, and we just seen some awesome fights out of him. So will there be some pointing down to the ground at the end of a round, and or at the end of the fight? Who knows how much will be going on? And but I feel like it's going to be an exciting fight happening on International Fight Week, July 11th. And they announced some other fights too, but I think BSD versus shit. If you guys know, let me know. I've been so in and out of being able to keep up with anything because I've been so busy. If you remember or know of what the rest of the matchups were, drop it in the chat because I'd love to know what else they announced. I heard BSD versus somebody, I can't remember at the moment, but they announced it. Of course, Dana White just gets on Instagram Live and goes, yeah, we're announcing Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway 2 for International Fight Week. And it's like, well, you're dropping this in the middle of the Francis Ngannou walkout for MVP MMA. You should have been a little more ecstatic about it instead of being lackluster, boring, and looking like you got a headache and that you're hungover again. But it is what it is. That's what we get from Dana White these days, unless he's talking about some kind of influencer boxing, and then he gets all hyped up for some reason. You know, when we had Johnny Manziel versus Bob Menery, he was fucking hyped about that one. Where's that energy with Conor versus Holloway, man? What the fuck are we doing? But this is all I really got to say about that.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
That's how it goes with Dana White. He just
I don't give a fuck.
That's about what his attitude is like. And in the true spirit of McGregor, now that he's coming back, I'll play this one as well.
Get your fucking shit together, my God.
That goes straight to Dana. Anyway, we finally got the official announcement. There we go. Enough fucking around. We got the official announcement. Max Holloway versus Conor McGregor 2 happening International Fight Week. I'll be excited for that one. We got the Freedom 250 card coming up next month, and then we'll have International Fight Week. We got some great fights coming up. It's going to be a fun summer of combat sports, that's for sure. So get ready for that. We'll have a lot of content coming out. The watch parties have been going awesome, and I'm gonna do as many of them as I can because it seems like everyone's loving it and everyone's tuning in and interacting with the stream and everything. So that's fun for me, and it's a good time. So I'll get the boys back in here sometime soon, and we'll get a regular one going again. But for now, until I can, it'll be just me, and I'm okay with it. I like doing it by myself too. Thank you, all is good, for jumping back in. Appreciate you.
What's happening with you, man?
What's happening with you, man? Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming back always and supporting. Yeah, let's get to what happened over the weekend and the actual fights. Obviously, we had Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano for the Netflix MVP MMA card. And lots of stuff going on, man. There's a lot of things going on with that fight card. I did not really get to watch a lot of the prelims, and unfortunately, I just kind of went through and read up on what happened through them. I didn't have tons of time to be able to watch all the fights over again. Yeah, all 17 seconds of it. Yeah, that main event was fast. It was short. It was quick. It was, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. A lot of controversy around it in certain aspects of it, but you know, what can you do? What can you do? What did you expect? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people were kind of calling the fact that Ronda would be able to do what she did as quickly as she did it. And I mean, I wasn't sure I was expecting anything different. I was just hoping that maybe it would be more of a fight, but it was a quick one. And if you didn't know, 17 seconds in, Ronda Rousey gets the win. We're going to touch on it here in just a second. But as far as the rest of the card, it really came through, man. I gotta say that they really did a pretty good job with the production. The picture quality was crispy as hell. It was nice. It looked really good. I saw a couple videos on it that when, you know, the times I did get to scroll around, I did see a couple videos on people talking about the difference of the quality between the UFC fight card and the Netflix MMA card. You know, does it come down to how it gets broadcasted on the different platforms, or is it just what cameras they're using, or is it a combination of all of it? Who the fuck knows at this point? All I know is the Netflix MVP MMA card, it looked damn good. It looked damn good. And you know, a lot of times you get these new promotions come out and they look kind of the quality's not there, you know what I'm saying? The production value's not great, and it looks like some kind of you know, backyard brawl type shit, and even those are even in better production quality sometimes than some of these. Somebody recording on a phone makes it look better, but no, they did a good job. You know, obviously we had a lot of quick finishes in the main card, so as far as the main card went, there was a lot of filler time, but I will say they did a pretty decent job of filling it in. You know, it got a little, there's a lot of downtime and a lot of in between fucking, I don't know. It did feel like a long time in between, but you know, when the fights came back on, it was exciting and it was worth the wait. So I guess you can't blame them too much when, you know, not everybody has it down pat like the UFC does. And a lot of times the UFC winds up just, you know, playing commercials or some shit like that in between. We've seen so much of that now with Paramount Plus, the commercials and ads just fucking being thrown in the mix, making us miss shit that they shouldn't be making us miss. Like, cram all of those fucking ads and commercials in for when, you know, there is downtime. And if not, then near the end, when we're getting to the point where you need to get them all in there, start putting them in later on, a couple extra at a time. But I don't know, you know, I don't know how big production like that works, big broadcasting like that works. I don't know, obviously. So it's easier said than done, but it just feels like they should have it down a little better than they do with the Paramount Plus. So I'm sure they're trying to settle in, work out the kinks, and fulfill their, you know, responsibilities for Paramount Plus. So it's a learning process. It was kind of like that with ESPN as well in the beginning, but I feel like ESPN was a little bit, you know, less rocky in the beginning. But the UFC, they'll get it down, and I'm sure they'll make it better, hopefully. But this Netflix card, it was great, man. Production wise was pretty damn good. There were some really good fights, while the flip side of that is that it was kind of set up that way. You know what I mean? The opponents, the matchups, we had a lot of big favorites and a lot of big underdogs. And when you have something like that happen, you're either going to get a fantastic fight where you get excitement coming from the big underdog coming out and getting the win in a major way, or you're going to get the guy who's heavily favored, the man or woman who's heavily favorited to come out and make a quick fight of it and a quick night of it and get it over with and finish early because it was such a big mismatch. You know what I mean? So some of these, I don't know that I'd say that they were huge mismatches, but they definitely were matched up in a way where things could get done very fast, and on top of that could be very exciting. So that's a good job of matchmaking when it comes to something like that doesn't have all of the aspects in the background of rankings and championships and stuff like that. If you're just starting out and you're just starting to build a promotion like this, you're not going to have a bunch of fights that are necessary to have because of rankings and championships. You're going to have the most exciting fights you can to establish yourself and get yourself out there and get the eyes watching and get the traffic going, and also make people want to come back and watch the next one. So I think they did a pretty good job of that. I'm not sure how everyone else felt about it. I've seen some mixed reviews on the whole thing, but for the most part, it seems pretty positive as far as what happened up until the main event. The main event was somewhat exciting as well, but it was so short that, I mean, there's really not a whole lot you can go off of. So that's, you know, that's what makes that become a little bit of a fluky feeling, you know what I mean? I don't want to, all the conspiracy theorists out there, it's tough. They're gonna say that about all the fights all the time, if something just goes a certain way, but I just don't know what you expect from these two women. Just knowing the backstory and how everything was and where everything was, it just, yeah, that's just how it was gonna go. So let's get to it though. I did my prep a little bit differently. We're literally gonna just we're just gonna look at the main card and recap that, and then I'll quickly go through the prelims at the end. And I actually just remembered I didn't even put anything up for the prelims, so yeah, I kind of messed that one up. I did my prep as fast as I could this morning to allow myself time to do all the rest of the stuff I needed to do. So this show will be a little bit different. We're gonna start with the main event and go down the card for the main card only, and then I'll touch on the prelims. Either way, you know, we got the content out here right now going, and the show's working. So thanks for tuning in still, and I hope you enjoy what I do have for you. And yeah, let's get to it. Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. We had Ronda Rousey doing what Ronda Rousey does. A lot of people said they don't see how she doesn't go out there and get, you know, Gina to the ground with her judo skills or just her overall MMA skills and wind up getting her in an armbar super quickly. Now, of course, I'm sure Gina trained for all of that, but when you don't have any time to think or barely any time to react, I can understand why somebody who hasn't been in the cage for as long as she has and hasn't had that real live moment of having to make those decisions. I can understand how she got caught in it. My biggest problem with the whole thing is that, what up, Tyler Fish? Welcome back. Appreciate you for jumping in. My biggest problem with it is that, and this doesn't help the allegations of the fixed fight and all this other bullshit, is that Gina literally, you can see it in that picture on the bottom. Why is her left leg on the mat? And why is her body turned in the opposite direction of Ronda, when that's just going to help put that armbar in even deeper? Why is she not turning the other way? And in the process of the finish, she almost actually overly turned the opposite way than she should have been turning. And I don't know that there was really any good defense for that armbar with how quick she got it in there, but it just seemed odd that at the very end, Gina kind of turned in a way that just didn't make sense. So she's a good actor, man. She proved it last night. I know a lot of people are saying it, and I knew I was going to get some of that today too. And I don't blame you guys, especially with the way that it worked out, man. 17 seconds in, Ronda went in for the takedown quickly, got her down, transitioned, into an armbar quickly, and she is an actual actor, yes. I know. They both are technically. Gina definitely did a lot more acting than Ronda did. But Ronda did WWE. That's acting of its own in a certain sense. So, but yeah, when it comes down to it, it was a 17-second fight. Quick finish, armbar finish for Ronda Rousey. Going out her way in MMA, she seems to be saying that this is 100% her last fight, and that, she's basically just going to retire. And she went out the way that she felt like was best for her, which is getting that signature armbar. And with the fact that Gina had no kind of defense for it, she got it done and quickly. So that's kind of how a lot of her career went back in the day in the UFC, until she got caught by Holly Holm. So she just it was just a throwback kind of performance to the way that she was dominant in the UFC. And Gina Carano, she lost her last fight to Chris Cyborg in a bad way. She got beat up pretty badly, and she just got dominated there, and she hasn't been in the cage since. So there's only so much you can do when you don't have that live action kind of live action experience to go off of. And to my knowledge, she didn't take any kind of fights coming in, even spar. Who knows how hard those sparring matches were, how much sparring she was doing. But either way, none of it, comes close to the way the looks are in the cage. So, also speaking of cage, they had a hexagon cage. What'd you guys think of that? I mean, when you're really watching the fight, you don't really notice it that much, but when you see the overview of the cage, you see the shape of it and stuff. I thought it looked pretty good, honestly. The octagon is a style of its own, and it's kind of a staple of the UFC. So people call things the octagon all the time if somebody's in a cage, but like Bellator used to have the circle. There's been all kinds of different ways that the cage has been put up there. But obviously the UFC has the octagon, and now MVP MMA is doing the hexagon with the six-sided cage. And I mean, it makes sense, I guess. It looked pretty good, and it didn't seem to affect the fighters very much from what I could tell. And I listened to some interviews from some of the press conferences after and stuff, and no one really mentioned a whole lot about it. So I'm not sure anybody really asked either. But shout out also to Combat Sports Today. I'll tell you right now, man, they're getting involved with a lot of these events, and they're getting people to represent them in the media out there. And MMA Fu, who's been on the podcast here before, along with Phil, the head guy from Combat Sports Today. MMA Fu, though, he was the GOAT this weekend, man. That dude, he's from LA ride or die, all hardcore LA guy, and he's been He was out there all weekend throughout the week, just catching all kinds of interviews, interviewing everybody from Michael Irvin to Ronda Rousey. I mean, he got some questions in the post-fight press conference with Nate Diaz and Francis Ngannou. A little bit of a funny one, a little bit of one that went a bit viral too, where he asked Francis what he thought of the fact that Dana announced Conor versus Holloway during his walkout, and he said, I don't give a fuck about that shit. He's like, what the fuck do you want me to do about it? It was a pretty funny reaction. It was all over the place. And yeah, I mean, shout out to Fu, man. He did his thing. He did a damn good job. And it's cool to know what was going on. I'm involved with some group chats with them and stuff. And I was happy to see that he was getting out there doing his thing and really getting a lot of great content and getting a lot of interviews and getting to talk to all these legends, man. It was badass. So congrats to MMA Fu and Combat Sports Today. Go follow them everywhere on social media. Go subscribe to their channel. When I do interviews, that's who I do them with. I collab with them. And yeah, they're a damn good channel. They keep you up to date with everything, and they cover a lot of different combat sports. So it's a great channel and a great bunch of guys out there doing their thing. So, and they did big things this weekend for sure. And so shout out to MMA Fu for taking care of business out there. It was good to see, man. So anyway, yeah, that's it. I mean, Ronda, there's not a whole lot more to talk about except for Ronda did her thing. Her, supposed last fight, and she won in her own way. And her and Gina were all hugs and tears and shit like that after, smiling together and posing for pictures. And that's what a lot of people didn't like. But it's like, come on, man. Ronda has a lot of respect for Gina for what Gina did as a pioneer coming in. She said she wouldn't be where she was if it wasn't for Gina Carano. And a lot of the girls these days wouldn't be where they are if it wasn't for Ronda Rousey kicking the doors in the UFC and make, putting her stamp on MMA in the biggest organization in the world that said that no women would ever fight in that organization. And Ronda was the one that kicked those doors in and said fuck that. And she was handed the title, but she defended it enough times and did great things with it while she was champ. So as much as I don't like her demeanor sometimes and some of the ways she carries herself, I respect her skills. And while I don't think she would match up that great with a lot of the women in the UFC right now, and I don't know that she could ever come back and fight somebody to the caliber of Amanda Nunes. Kayla Harrison, everybody's asking about whether she could beat Kayla Harrison. I don't think she could. Kayla's definitely got way more skills and is way sharper with her skills, as she is an active UFC fighter and an active UFC champion. Active as in right now she is a fighter and a champion. I know she's been out with an injury and she hasn't been active as in getting fights, but we know we're going to see her sometime in the near future, and she's got to get over this injury. It was a neck injury, so in the UFC she gets smoked 100%, Tyler. I agree. So especially against Kayla, and while they're both judokas and they both have similar qualities and whatnot, I still think Kayla, being the younger fighter, she's not that much younger, I don't think, but like I said, being the active fighter, the current champion in the UFC in this day and age, I feel like she would definitely get past Ronda easily, but we'll never see it according to Ronda. So that's how that goes. As far as Gina, she didn't really put the stamp on the career. It sounded like she wants a chance to get in there and do something to showcase her skills instead of just having it be over in such a quick fashion. Yeah, Tyler, I did talk about Conor and the announcement with Max Holloway. It was a short one just because there wasn't a whole lot there except for the fact that it was announced. But for me, if you wanted to know, I feel like Max Holloway is definitely a good opponent for Conor, but I do think that Max Holloway can get the better of Conor unless Conor for some reason comes in and does something crazy and is able to fight like the Conor of old. Bro, Netflix should make Jones versus Ngannou happen. It would be the actual maybe biggest fight ever. It would, man, because that's the other thing, and we're going to get to that here in just a minute, the Francis Ngannou versus Felipe Lins. But the problem with that is that John Jones is still under contract with the UFC, and there ain't no damn way they're going to make it easy for him to get out to be able to go do something like fight Francis Ngannou of all people and be an MVP MMA where Jake Paul is. Those are a lot of negatives working against him. So if he can get out and be able to do it, I think Max is going to destroy him. Conor only has a fluke chance. Okay. I honestly didn't think I'd get that kind of answer from you, Tyler. So that's awesome. I feel like Max Holloway has the upper hand for sure. So for me, I'm picking Max Holloway 100%. I've liked Holloway for so long. And you know, Conor, I respect his skills and what he's done for the sport, but for me, I think Max has got that one for sure. But Jones versus Ngannou, that would be a big ass fight. And you know, Ariel even asked Ngannou in the cage whether he would be willing to make his way back to the UFC to make that fight happen if they wanted to make it happen. And he said, you know, he kind of left it open-ended and was more along the lines of, hey, this is where I'm at, come over here. But you know, that could be looked at as ducking, considering we all know that John Jones is tied up in a contract with the UFC and they're not going to let him out of that easily. So bro, the thing with Conor is that his training is just him hitting a round pad with a bunch of yes men cheering him in. Bro, you see it, man. You fucking see it. And I'm glad that you see it, because a lot of people think that you know, just know Conor as the dominant Conor that he was back in the day. And if you really look at his training and stuff like that, he looks okay, but I don't know that he's going to be at the caliber of somebody like Max Holloway, much less anybody more elite than that even. So Holloway at this point is a legend in the UFC with what he's done with the championships that he held for so long. You know, coming back after, you know, losing his title and you know, fighting a lot of great fights, the BMF title, all of that. So yeah, it's I think Max has the upper hand for sure, and it'll be interesting to watch it. And Conor has no grit anymore. Yeah, that too, man. It's been so long for him. But yeah, let's move on. We got Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz, and for me, this was disappointing in the manner of the fact that I'm a big Nate Diaz fan. I hope to see him do better. He did okay, you know what I'm saying? It's not like he did horribly, but he did get beat the fuck up. It only lasted 2 rounds out of the 5. He did get beat up, obviously, as we can see in that picture below, where he's just bloodied up. When it gets tough, he's just gonna start thinking of the silk sheets. 100%. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Damn, when it gets tough, he's, oh yeah, sorry, I thought something else came in. But yeah, Mike Perry doing the damn thing in there, man. He, you know, using those skills that he's gotten really good at and sharpened in you know, with his hands, with that dirty boxing. It's the best opponent for him in that moment, because of the fact that, you know, Diaz will stand and bang with him. And a lot of what people thought was going to happen was Nate was going to be able to, you know, wrestle him and use his skills on the ground with jiu-jitsu to defeat Mike Perry. But Mike Perry wasn't allowing that to happen as much as we thought it was going to happen. Nate's one of my favorite fighters of all time. His longevity tier. He says he's never done. What up, Antoine? Nate Diaz says he's never done. So we'll see, man. He just said, hey, maybe I just don't fight a guy that's so violent. Maybe I should fight the second most violent guy. Which I thought was pretty funny. You know what I mean? I think Nate will struggle to get booked now because of his scar tissue. I don't know. I think people see it as excitement and see it as a way to get eyes on what's happening. So I think he's, you know, I don't think he'll struggle too much. Perry looked good for sure. All the scar tissue blood bathhouse it was. Like, look at what happened in UFC 244. You feel me? Yeah, no, 100%. Maybe the UFC won't want to get him back in there, but depends on what happens with Conor. They're definitely interested in having that trilogy with Conor because it's big money and big viewership for them with Nate versus Conor, and all the shit talk ahead of time and stuff like that. That's, you know, I could definitely see them trying to make that fight. Nate just doesn't have good enough wrestling to give Perry problems. His jiu-jitsu is great, but he can't get them down. Yeah, and it looks like, you know, as much as I wanted to just stop talking, you know, have people stop talking about the fact that Diaz looked bad in that Jake Paul fight and stuff like that. You know, he boxed Masvidal after that. You know, there's a lot of playing around and stuff. It doesn't seem like he takes it as seriously. Maybe the money's a big issue for him too now because he's got a lot of money too. You know what I'm saying? He always talks about being a real fighter and stuff like that. And I believe him. But the thing is it just feels like it's a different type of sense of urgency in there. Like he always has his demeanor like he's got it in the bag already. And then when shit gets tough, he tries to turn it up, but it almost seems like it's too late most of the time when that happens. And that's kind of what happened here with Perry. You know, Perry gets some good short elbows in there and starts cutting Nate up. He's hitting him in the face. I don't know that the UFC really wants Mike Perry back. I don't think they see him as valuable in MMA. I think they see him as a valuable asset with the entertainment side of things, but you know, is that enough for him when it comes to, you know, how he fights in MMA? This might help him though. This might help him a little bit, being that he did fight in MMA here finally again for the first time in a while, and he did as well as he did. Also, how do you feel about people trashing Gina? I'm happy she wasn't too bothered by the loss. Yeah, I think it's kind of one of those, we should have known what to expect. You know, Gina's been out for so long. She hasn't, you know, even tried to be a fighter again for a long time. And when Ronda got out, of course she was done with fighting, but she went to WWE. It's competition of sorts under the bright lights. It's all, you know, a lot of publicity, a lot of this, that, or the other thing. And while she's been out of the game for a while, it's been a lot less time since she's been in that kind of atmosphere, because she was into WWE for a while. And so I think that Gina just was just overwhelmed, and Ronda just has better skills that don't match up well for what Gina's skills are. So it was a big mismatch of a fight, and that's kind of how it was set up to be. But what it does is it puts Gina's foot back into the, you know, into the game, and maybe she gets another fight. You know, it sounds like MVP is pretty interested in possibly giving her other fights. Yeah, 15 fucking years, 100%. Nate is a fighter. He fights, not as common now. He's not an athlete that just strikes for points. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I just feel like she didn't get a chance to show anything. Yeah, and that's kind of how she felt too. So I think that's why they're probably willing to give her another fight and see how she does against somebody who's maybe not as elite, as high level when it comes to the overall perspective of things, you know, somebody that wasn't a complete champion before. If they offer her another million, she's taking it 100%. There's no way she doesn't. And I think that she's got the bug now, making her way back into the cage, fighting again. She sees how she got in shape. You know, she says she lost about 100 pounds, which is insane. And good for her. So also, I can't wait to discuss 32, man. It still hasn't hit me that Connor's back. Oh, yeah, it's nuts. So when it comes down to it, I feel like Gina will get another chance at some point. And same thing with Nate. I don't think Nate's not done. It might be a while before he gets back in there and fights, but I don't think he's done. I think he gets other opportunities. And like I said, depending on Connor, if Connor wins fucking against Max Holloway, especially, there's no way in hell they don't try to get Nate Diaz back to the UFC. And that's what Nate said. Hey, get back out there and win some fights. I don't want to be your comeback fight, you know? And I know people call that a cop-out or whatever, but it is what it is. So yeah, and then here's how Nate looked after the fight, man. This is why he got stopped. You know, it was a corner stoppage. He had a huge gash on his forehead, a huge gash on over his eye, which is a lot of that scar tissue. And man, he was just a bloody mess. So Rousey showcased why she became MMA superstar in the first place. Good for her. Yeah, I mean, and that's a good way for her to go out and be able to retire and finally say that's the end. And you know, it was kind of set up that way. I think everyone kind of expected her to be able to dominate Gina Carano. So yeah, it's good for her, man. I mean, everyone can hate on it all they want. 17 seconds this, 17 seconds that. It was a fixed fight, blah, blah, blah. Say what you want. That's what I expected out of Ronda, and I was going to be surprised if she wasn't able to do that against Gina, who hasn't fought in like 15 years and hasn't had any fights whatsoever or competition in that long. It's crazy. So I'm not surprised. You think Nate will have a hard life come age 60? Maybe so. He seems like a pretty put together dude, though. He might be in some pain or something like that, but I think he'll just be that cool old dude that has a lot of fucking great stories. You know what I'm saying? Smoking weed like always. But yeah, this was the look of Nate Diaz after the fight, which is why he got stopped. So Mike Perry gets a stoppage in the second round. TKO win, corner stoppage, and you know, it was a pretty entertaining fight. So that was a good co-main event, and that leads us to what we talked about earlier: Francis Ngannou versus Felipe Lins. And man, in the main card, we got nothing but finishes, and that's what makes it exciting. you know, we got KO wins across the board except for the main event, which was a submission. So KO TK wins, TKO wins for everybody on the main card except for the main event, which was a submission, and that was 17 seconds. So exciting card, you know what I mean? The time in between was a little long, and it kind of felt like, hey, when the fuck are we getting back to the fights or whatever? But you know, it was entertaining, especially watching somebody like Francis Ngannou. Him and Felipe Lins have not fought in the UFC since 2024, but we've seen Francis Ngannou have a couple boxing matches where he got knocked out really badly by Anthony Joshua, but he also did, you know, his first boxing match was against Tyson Fury, and he did pretty well. You know, I wouldn't say it was super high level, but he knocked down Tyson, and he, you know, got some good shots in there, and some people actually thought he won that fight, but Tyson Fury, you know, edged it out with a decision win. But you know, that's why people were hyped and high on watching Ngannou box again. But then he comes up against a killer like Anthony Joshua, who did not take him lightly, and definitely played well against the skills of Ngannou and knocked him out. Then Ngannou comes back and fights Renan Fajeda for the title in the PFL, and he just dominates him. Nasty ground and pound after he gets him on the ground, and you know, does work quickly. So he's had a fight since then. Lins hasn't fought, as far as I know, since 2024 when he was in the UFC last, but he got out of the UFC on a 4-fight win streak. So there was some, you know, it was a good matchup. But Felipe Lins is a little bit smaller of a guy, you know, more of a 205er than a heavyweight. So a lot of people had stuff to criticize about that. But when it comes down to it, you know, he got in there, he did his thing with Francis. I feel like he actually caught Francis at one point in time with a punch that might have wobbled him a little bit. But Francis was relentless. He made his way into doing what he normally does when it comes to the way that he fights. He took advantage of that power, and he was able to get the upper hand on Felipe Lins and was able to finish it in round one. It was, you know, at the very end of round one, I thought for sure it was going to a second round, and then Ngannou comes up with a gigantic punch that lands on Felipe Lins and knocks him out cold. I mean, Lins fell like a tree that just got chopped down. You could just hear somebody yell timber. How do you feel about him and John going back and forth? Yeah, and that was the interesting part. You know, John Jones was doing, you know, analyst work on the desk, it seemed like, and during the fight, Francis Ngannou fight, he was up there. So they had some back and forth talking to each other. And you know, Francis said he would love to do that fight, but he's not sure he wants to do it in the UFC. He kind of was like, hey, I'm over here now, like come over here. But like I said earlier, John Jones is under contract with the UFC, and with the UFC having the feelings they have towards MVP MMA with Jake Paul, Nikisa Badarian being a former UFC employee, the bad blood that's been between them, and then Francis Ngannou and the you know, rocky relationship he had with the UFC. And then the fact that John Jones has turned down fights, retired, unretired, and fucking been, you know, dicking around the UFC too. There's a lot of bad blood going on there between all three of those parties. So I'm not sure that we'll see that fight in the near future anytime soon, unless something crazy happens. But who knows? Maybe they offer Ngannou a bag and he comes back to the UFC under a 1-fight contract and fights John Jones. You know what I mean? Maybe we see it. Who knows? For now, though, it's a lot of shit talking, a lot of back and forth, but it's entertaining. But congrats to Ngannou for getting that first round finish. He was able to get in there and put in the work, and Francis looked scary as hell. He looked like in damn good shape. He was big, and he was landing heavy punches. So there was you know, he knocked out Felipe Lins, and he went to jump on top of him and hit him again, and then he realized that, you know, Lins was out. He did not follow up with any big shots. Herb Dean was in there to stop it pretty quickly too, but Francis could have got a punch or two in there before Herb Dean got there, but he chose not to. He saw how just completely out Felipe Lins was. He was out cold with his eyes open on the canvas. So that was an impressive win for Francis Ngannou, and it was exciting, and it was yeah, I mean, that's really all there is to say. It was an exciting fight, and it only lasted a round, but we got the big finish coming from the big man, Francis Ngannou. I'll definitely be interested to see what's coming up next for him and how he handles things and what he's able to do and what kind of fights he gets next and where he fights next. That'll definitely be interesting. As far as Felipe Lins goes, he didn't look horrible in there. Just Francis Ngannou is so big and powerful, man. It's a tough opponent for him, but he hung in there. And like I said, I feel like he caught Francis at one point in time and wobbled him a little bit. And that's when Francis kind of turned it up and was like, I'm going to get this done. So if you guys hear dogs barking in the back, it's because, like I mentioned earlier, I got a dog that's not here usually. He's a bigger dog too. I got my 2 little dogs thinking they're big guys. And yeah. You think Francis is still championship caliber? I feel like I need to see a little more coming from him. He looked really good against Renan Fajeda, and then he looked really good against Felipe Lins, but he's not fighting the caliber of fighters that are in the UFC right now. I know the heavyweight division is a little light at the moment, but I feel like he would have some issues with Tom Aspinall, and I think that it would be an interesting fight between him and Poatan. So him and Cyril Gane, we've seen before. He beat Cyril. And I mean, he might have, I can't remember who else he's fought, and if he's fought any of the guys that are up at the top of the heavyweight division right now off the top of my head. But I will say that, you know, he looked good in his last 2 fights, and it's, you know, I think it's possible for him to make his way back to the UFC and be a contender, if not a champion. Let's see, he, you know, beat Stipe for the title, defended against Cyril. He beat Rosenstruck, not there anymore. He beat Dos Santos, not there anymore. Velasquez, not there anymore. He beat Curtis Blades, who's still at the top over there. Overeem, not there. He lost to Derek Lewis by unanimous decision, but that was a horrendous fight. Arlovsky's not there anymore. Yeah, a lot of the guys that the only guy still there that he beat in the UFC during his run there, it was Curtis Blades. So yeah, I think he'd have a tough time against, oh my God, the dogs are going nuts. I think he'd have a tough time against Aspinall. I think John Jones would definitely give him a great fight. And I think Alex Pereira would give him a good fight too. Those are 3 matches I would love to see 100%. Like neither of his wins could make it in the UFC. Yeah, I don't know. I think the opponents are not UFC level, but I think that we've seen what he can do in the UFC. So I don't know. It's tough to say. I would definitely like to see him go back and try. I think he has enough of an opportunity to get some big wins in the UFC as well, especially with the state of the heavyweight division right now. So let's move on to Saladin Parnasse, coming from KSW. Impressive record over there. He's just an impressive fighter overall, fighting Kenny Cross. We got a first round finish in this one as well. KO from Saladin Parnasse. Punches to the body. You know, he started hitting Cross in the body quite a bit, and he was throwing combinations and working the body in there. He finally got to the point where he was not landing on Cross's face as much with as much power and accuracy. So he saw the opening to the body and winds up getting some good body shots in there, and Parnasse gets the win by first round TKO. Also, I watched The Smashing Machine last night. It was really cool. Yeah, it's a good movie, man. I mean, I know a lot of people had a lot of shitty things to say about it, but in the overall perspective, it doesn't match up 100% to the like documentary, The Smashing Machine. But you know, it's pretty close. It's pretty close, and it's pretty good. And I think The Rock did a decent job. So, not a bad movie, honestly. And so next up, we had the first fight of the night on the main card, Robelis Despain versus Junior Dos Santos. Another sad one, kind of, honestly. I love Junior Dos Santos, man. I mean, I hated that he beat Cain Velasquez back in the day when he did in their Fox debut for a live event on Fox. But I feel like I always liked Junior as a fighter, as a person. And I hated seeing him, you know, lose as many fights as he did at the end of his career in the UFC. But it just seemed like his chin wasn't there anymore, and it kind of seemed that way again. Robelis Despain isn't the most technical fighter. He's not the most accurate and precision striker that a lot of other guys are. So I know for a fact that Junior Dos Santos could definitely not hang with the caliber of fighters in the UFC right now, much less outside with some of them. And I just think that his chin is gone. He got knocked out brutally against Robelis Despain. He kept, he kept just winging punches, man, and leaving himself open for Despain, who keeps his hands down, so he brings those uppercuts pretty quickly. He comes from a short distance. He doesn't, you know, wing them out there. He brings them up from a pretty close distance, and with a lot of power behind it. So I do think that Despain has he's got that power and he's got that accuracy, and he's reading the openings right. I just don't think he's that much of a technical fighter. I think a real technical striker that can pick him apart, he would have trouble with. We saw that in the UFC. A lot of wrestling and grappling that took over and was not allowing him to, you know, showcase that power, that striking. And so he had a lot of issues with that. And I was hoping that Junior would come out and played a bit smarter. He did attempt some takedowns and stuff like that, but, you know, Robelis was big and strong and wasn't allowing Junior to take advantage of him that way. And then he left himself open and got knocked out. I just don't like how Ryan Bader played Mark Coleman. Like, why? Yeah, it was a little bit weird. But I mean, you know, Ryan Bader's a big dude, and I don't know. I don't really have feelings about it, to be honest with you. It seemed a little bit weird, but at the same time, it wasn't so big of a part that it made me care that much. But yeah, as far as the prelims went, you know, there was some pretty good action going on in the prelims of that as well. We start off with hold on one second. Did you see it in theaters? Yes, I did. Chris Avila, the training partner, friend, and teammate of Nate Diaz, fought Brandon Jenkins, and they wound up going to a split decision where Jenkins gets the win by split decision over Chris Avila, who's now 8-10, which is tough, man. It's a tough record in MMA. You know, Jenkins really controlled early. He was the sharper boxer, better cage management, and just kept Avila from getting any real rhythm going. Avila, you know, tried to turn it into a dogfight later on in the fight, but Jenkins, you know, he just kind of stayed the course, stayed disciplined, and edged out the exchanges. You know, not a crazy fight, but the cleanest striker wins. And, you know, with Avila being a boxer that he is, I would have thought that he was gonna do a little bit better, but, you know, it just didn't work out that way for him. So that was it for that one. Let me go here and put this picture up there just because it feels like that makes more sense. Anyway, next up we had Alex Pereira's sister, fighting Jade Masan Wong. They go to split decision as well, and, you know, but Pereira gets the win. It was kind of a messy scrap, you know, but Pereira, you know, she was just more dangerous on the feet. Jade Masan Wong, you know, she kept it competitive. She kept up with the volume and the pressure, but Pereira was just too much for her in the end, and the judges leaned her way and gave her the split decision win. So we'll see what's up next for Aline Pereira. Did I say Ellis Pereira earlier? I might have. But Aline Pereira gets the win over Jade Masan Wong, who was in bare knuckle fighting before. And I'm sure she'll keep going and fighting more over there. Maybe she gets some other MMA fights at some point, but for Aline Pereira, I'm sure she'll be able to continue getting more fights and see where it takes her. She looked like a killer in karate combat, getting finishes over there. We'll see if she can make it, you know, transition over into MMA the same way and start getting those big finishes too. After that, we had David Magoyan versus Albert Morales. Magoyan, more of a technical fighter throughout. He managed to range well and picked his shots cleanly and was able to neutralize Morales. Morales attempted to make it a brawl, but, you know, with this, he had some spurts of, you know, aggression and really tried to get something going in there, but he wasn't able to sustain any of it. And Magoyan, you know, winds up coming up with a unanimous decision win as he controlled the performance and just took over and beat Albert Morales. Next up, back to the finishes. We had Jason Jackson versus Jeff Crichton, and it didn't last long. Jackson came out, he was explosive. He timed a clean shot and was able to flatten Crichton early. Fast knockout, and you know, that's what started the excitement going. 22 seconds into the first round, Jeff Crichton gets knocked out by Jason Jackson, and that's how that one went. Then it leads us to Adriano Moraes versus Pumi Nakuda, and a lot of people were high on Pumi Nakuda. I feel like he, his stock didn't lower too much in this one. It was a pretty high level grappling match. Just these guys are both know what they're doing on the ground, and Moraes just showed how dangerous he is in scrambles. Pumi Nakuda, he looked solid defensively, but he kept getting trapped in sequences that Moraes was taking advantage of, and Moraes was able to submit Nakuda right at the end, right before the end of the fight. Actually, it was 4 minutes and 59 seconds into the third round, and he gets the last second submission by rear naked choke over Pumi Nakuda. But like I said, Pumi being able to hang in there with Adriano Moraes for that long, and show some signs of good stuff in there. I thought it was a pretty decent fight, and I feel like Pumi's got some good futures ahead of him if he gets picked up, and he could have some good fights in there. I loved Usyk playing Igor Vovchanchkin. Oh yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good for sure. And then last but not least, we had Namo Fazil versus Jake Babian. Fazil being the guy that was out there talking mad shit to everybody, but is Adriano too old to make the UFC run? I don't know, man. I don't know that he's too old. I forgot, how old is Moraes? He does seem like he's older. 37. I think if he made it in there soon, he could make a little bit of a run. But I'm not sure, like, does he have the skills to compete with everybody in the UFC? Well, he beat Demetrius Johnson, so I think maybe. And that wasn't that long ago. But who knows? I mean, beating Pumi and letting Pumi kind of, take him to the end there and barely getting that win. Who knows? But Pumi's good, and he's a fast guy, and he's slick. So, could he fight for the belt by 39? Maybe. If he got in the UFC now, I think he might be able to. But yeah, last fight of the night, Namo Fazil versus Jake Babian. Fazil basically took over the fight after he was able to get Babian down. Babian was looking scrappy, but just kind of faded out and started looking a little gassed, and Fazil's control and pressure just built up and took over. Fazil sinks in a Darce choke and forces the tap. Oh shit, pop-ups, damn pop-ups. But yeah, he got the submission by Darce choke in the second round, 58 seconds into the second round, and then he got into it with Arman Tsarukyan as he was walking out of the cage and walking to the back. So who knows what that's all about, but yeah, there's some drama and some beef going on between Namo Fazil and Arman Tsarukyan. Now that the first MVP card is in the books, do you think they have a bright future? I think the card went down like it should have, and like what they were hoping for. I think a lot of the backlash for the main event is the only problem. And the fact that people see that the matchups were kind of made a certain way for a reason, but it was entertaining, and a lot of people give a shit about it being entertaining. So the main event sure was very short and predictable, but it was still a big time fight, and all of the fights leading up to it allow you to be able to appreciate the entire show. The fact that the whole main card was filled with finishes, including a 17-second finish in the main event, that says a lot for that card. They did a good job with the matchups. They did a good job with the fighters that they picked, and everyone showed up and showed out. And it seems like Ronda made about $2 million and Carano made $1 million. So I mean, shit, they got millions of dollars out of it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's anything too crazy, considering, Ronda's probably gotten paid more than that at times in the past, but who knows? All that has to do with pay-per-view buys and stuff like that too. So it's a bit of a different thing. But anyway, I think it was a pretty good success for MVP MMA. Netflix didn't have any issues with the stream as far as I know, and the production quality and the video quality was damn good. So I give him props for that, and we had a lot of finishes. It was an exciting night of fights, and I had a good time doing the watch party for it. So I give it a solid B for a grade. And I think that if they put on more shows and they continue to get exciting fighters and make good matchups, they could definitely have a good product here. Whether it's going to rival the UFC or not, I don't know yet. They can't build an entire organization off of just kind of circus fights that are that lean one way or the other. It can't be that way all the time. So we'll see how they handle it and what they do next. But as far as I'm concerned, it was a pretty damn good fight night. So we'll move on to UFC Vegas 117, and that's Arnold Allen versus Melquizael Costa. Yeah, I think they need belts, but they're not going to bring that out until they do a few more shows. You know, we'll see if they really want to go that route. I feel like they're going to have a few more. The UFC will forever have the deepest roster. For a long time they will. But if MVP MMA starts growing and they start doing what they've done with boxing, they might have a good chance of, you know, making something happen here in the next few years. But yeah, good overall card, to be honest. But Arnold Allen versus Melquizael Costa happened on Saturday as well. You know, this card wasn't filled with all the finishes that the MVP MMA card was filled with, but we did have some really good fights. We did have 4 out of the 6 fights on the main card were finishes, so that's good. How do you feel about Conor and Nate? I never got your reaction. Like in the past, or like their beef now, or the possibility of them fighting? I'm not sure which one you want. I did talk about the possibility of a trilogy, but as far as, you know, in the past, I feel like it's a damn good beef, that's for sure. So they have the drama between them, the shit talking, the sportsmanship was cool or whatever at the end, but they continued the shit talking after that, and you know, they always have kind of beef with each other. So I think a trilogy is worth a shot. I just feel like Nate is in that position now where, you know, Conor would probably still get the best of him. I hate to admit that, but it's true. Unless Conor goes down hard against Max Holloway and shows that he's not really at that level anymore. I said Conor and Nate. I meant Conor and Max. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Conor and Max. I feel like Max Holloway has the upper hand on that one for sure. I don't think Conor's at that level anymore. And he's been out for so long and not having really had any real competition and fights since he's been gone. And, you know, coming out of that injury, all of the drama outside of the cage, Max Holloway's been active. He's had very difficult fights. He's had, you know, the BMF belt. He's fought big competitors and stuff like that. I feel like Max is locked in, and this is a good matchup for both of them. And I feel like it's a good way to bring Conor back as well, fighting somebody like Max Holloway. But I do think Max Holloway has an upper hand, and I feel like Max can get the win for sure. So those are my thoughts on that one. But as far as Allen versus Costa, main card had a good amount of finishes, so that's good. Only 2 decisions out of the 6 main card fights. The prelims were a little less of sort, but they did have some finishes in there. But a lot, you know, it's kind of even with decision and finishes in that one. They said Max is a minus 500 man already. It always starts out like that. That has to do a lot with Conor being out for so long, coming off the injury, all that kind of shit. So we'll see, you know, especially because he got injured again when he was supposed to fight Michael Chandler and extended the time even longer. So that might have to do with why he's such a big favorite. But I think once things settle down and it starts getting closer to the fight, and maybe we start seeing some more training footage, if he looks a little better or something in training, maybe the numbers will change a little bit more in his favor. But I don't know. I think Max Holloway is deservedly the favorite. I don't know if he needs to be that big of a favorite, but I feel like he definitely deserves to be the favorite. So it's not wrong completely. You know what I mean? Anyway, back to this Allen versus Costa. I'm going to hit up the main card, and then I'll quickly go through the prelims, and then we'll wrap it up and get out of here. I got a coworker calling me and what is he doing? Okay, anyway. So moving on, we have Arnold Allen versus Melquizael Costa. Melky Costa. I picked Costa to win. I thought with the streak that he was on and how impressive that he's looked in the recent past, with Arnold Allen not being as active as, you know, Costa has been, and the fact that Allen was coming off a loss to, you know, oh my God, why did I just completely space his name? Jean Silva. God damn it. How do I forget something like Silva? And the fact that Arnold Allen is 1-3 in his last 4 fights coming into this one. I just felt like Costa had a really good chance at winning, but Arnold Allen's strength of schedule is out, you know, insane compared to Costa's. So he was able to bounce back, get back in the win column with a unanimous decision win over Melky. As you can see, he landed some good punches. He busted up Melky's face, and he was just getting the upper hand on Costa the whole time. I felt like it was a good performance from Arnold Allen. And Costa, I mean, Costa, yeah, he's, I don't know, he's one of those guys. He just, you know, it's just a higher level guy, I guess. The scorecards were 50-45, 50-45, and 49-46. And that's pretty accurate for the way that the fight went. You know, Allen looked pretty composed and technical, and he used his veteran mentality to get through all 5 rounds and get the, you know, get the fight, win the fight over Costa. The dogs are just going nuts again. Allen dropped Costa with a big left hand in the first round, and that immediately, you know, changed the tone of the fight. Costa, you know, had some success here and there with nasty kicks throughout the matchup, but and kept throwing a lot of volume, but Allen was just making adjustments, pressuring forward and mixing in takedowns, landing the cleaner boxing and combinations. So by rounds 3 through 5, Allen was just controlling the pace, you know, inflicting damage both on the feet and on the ground, and you know, Allen was just able to bounce back from getting a loss and and get the win over Costa, who's been on a streak lately. So he was on a 6-fight win streak, and you know, he was the first guy to stop Dan Ige in MMA, and then you know, he had a lot of momentum behind him, which is why I was kind of favoring him. But Allen basically just walked in and reminded the division why, you know, experience matters, and that he's still here and still, you know, still scrappy. So Arnold Allen's always been you know, one of those guys that's isn't super active, but when he's in there, he's impressive, and he showed once again why that's true. So big win for him against Melquizael Costa in the main event of UFC Vegas 117. Next up, we had Korean Superboy Doo-Ho Choi versus Daniel Santos. Sorry. Arnold versus Yair is no brainer. That would be a damn good fight. Doo-Ho Choi versus Daniel Santos gets the fight of the night. Doo-Ho Choi gets the win by TKO body shots, as you can see in that bottom picture, but the top picture as well. He's got a straight right going to the gut of Daniel Santos. I picked Santos as well in this one, just because Doo-Ho Choi's kind of streaky, and just seemed like, you know, it just seemed like Santos had something going right now. But Korean Superboy was on a 2-fight win streak coming into this one, but Daniel Santos was on a streak of his own, and he was 1, 2, 3. He was on a 4-fight win streak. Didn't have the same strength of schedule, obviously, but still coming in looking pretty impressive. But Doo-Ho Choi did his thing. He was able to get the upper hand on Santos and work the body really well. And then, of course, he lands that brutal body shot for the TKO late in the second round. Fight of the night for this one, Doo-Ho Choi. You know, he started off kind of rough. Santos came out aggressive and pressured him, you know, pretty hard in round 1. Busted up Choi's nose with an uppercut, and looked like he might be running away with the momentum early. But in the second round, Korean Superboy completely just flipped the fight and started, you know, finding his jab, slowed Santos down, and then you know, started catching him with those body shots, and then wind up catching him with the liver shot that folded Santos and got the win for Doo-Ho Choi. So Choi called out Patricio Pitbull for his next matchup. That one's kind of weird, but I guess I could see him that being a decent fight, and I think he would have the upper hand in that one. So It seemed like Santos, was in a lot of pain from the damage inflicted on his body. Duo Choi did a damn good job of landing those punches, and that's what got him the win. So good fight there in the co-main event, and that brings us over to the third fight before the main, which was Malcolm Wellmaker versus where we at? Malcolm Wellmaker versus Juan Diaz. And Wellmaker trying to make his way back into the win column after losing to Ethan Ewing for his first time in his career, and the first fight that he's lost in the UFC after being 2-0 with impressive knockout wins. But Ethan Ewing was on a different level and really controlled Malcolm Wellmaker, not allowing him to land those big punches, and even when he did, stood in there with him and didn't go anywhere. And Wellmaker seemed a little surprised by that. Hall of Famer Duho Choi. Maybe. But yeah, Wellmaker seemed very surprised by Ethan Ewing not going down with that big right hand that he's landed on other guys, and winds up losing that fight. So he's trying to bounce back in this fight against Juan Diaz, and unfortunately he was not able to do that. Juan Diaz, as you can see, landed some good punches on him, and was knocking Wellmaker around a little bit. But I feel like he's just fought some really good guys. I think he has, for sure. That little bit of a layoff he had for the military service kind of took a toll on him a little bit, but he bounced back, and now he's on a 3-fight win streak. So yeah, he's definitely got some good things ahead of him if he keeps it up. But as far as Juan Diaz goes, he winds up with a performance of the night bonus for the submission by rear naked choke over Malcolm Wellmaker in the second round of this fight. And he just kind of spoiled the hype a little more that was lingering around Malcolm Wellmaker. That makes Wellmaker 2-2 now in the UFC with that submission by rear naked choke. Diaz stayed calm throughout the entire fight. He mixed in some good pressure and grappling in there at the right times, and took the back and got the tap once he really settled in on Malcolm, and was able to just wrap him up and expose that neck to get the rear naked choke. And Choi is in the fight wing of the Hall of Fame for his fight with Cub. Oh yeah, that's right, that was a crazy ass fight. So yeah, Wellmaker just he had a lot of buzz around him, and now he's on a 2-fight losing streak. But I feel like he's young enough, and I think he just needs to find a way to learn from these things and really bounce back, because that Ethan Ewing loss seemed to have really did a number on him, and Diaz just took advantage of that and was able to really take advantage and get the best of Malcolm Wellmaker and submitted him. So that was a good fight as well. Next up, we had Modestas Bukauskas versus Christian Edwards. Christian Edwards making his UFC debut, and had a little bit of a tough time against Modestas Bukauskas. As you can see, Modestas was able to land some good striking in on Christian Edwards, and he won a gritty split decision over Christian Edwards, 29-28, 28-29, and 29-28. Bukauskas wins the split decision. He looked like the sharper, more experienced fighter that he is, using it. He used his kicks a lot to pressure and control the striking exchanges and keep the distance as much as he could. Edwards, he did well. He deserves some credit for kind of stepping in there on short notice and made the fight a fight. He didn't just fold right away, and he did his thing in there. But Bukauskas just had Edwards hurt in the second round, and looked close to getting the finish there. But the clinch slowed things down a bit, and pressing him up against the cage and stuff like that. And instead of instead of getting the finish, it extended out to where he wound up getting a split decision win. And a lot of people were had kind of some they disagreed with the fact that Modestas didn't seem like he I guess it didn't seem like he was really going for the finish when he could have, because of the position he had Edwards in the second round. But that's just how it goes sometimes. So he still gets the win, and Christian Edwards loses his UFC debut, but I'm sure he'll be back. He put up a good fight, and we'll see if he can get in the win column, get his first UFC win in the near future. Next up, we had Timothy Kawamba versus Bernardo. I think it's Sopai. I always say Sopaj just because of the J, but anyway, Sopai gets the win by submission, rear naked choke in the second round. Another submission there. And you know, I did pick Sopai to get the win. Timothy Kawamba, you know, had gotten a flying knee knockout win in the past, and Sopai got need of a flying knee and got knocked out by it before. So I was kind of wondering if it might go that way this time, with Kawamba having success with that flying knee and Sopai getting knocked out before that way. But instead, you know, Sopai looked, you know, dangerous from the opening bell and was able to control a lot of the fight with pressure and grappling, you know, early. So he took Kawamba's back in round one and threatened to choke before the bell, you know, saved him pretty much. And then in round two, Sopai just cracked Kawamba with a good left hook and then dropped him and swarmed him on the ground. Threw in some ground and pound there, took the back, and then locked in that choke. So yeah, that was pretty much it. And Kawamba, you know, drops his fight against Sopai. He absorbed a lot of damage too for a little bit there. A lot of unanswered shots, but in the end, Sopai gets the submission and gets the finish. So, oh damn, what am I doing? I'm changing pages when I shouldn't be. So that's how that fight went down. And then the last fight the first fight on the main card, but the last fight for me talking about it for the main card was Chaos Williams versus Nikolai Veretennikov. I picked Chaos Williams to win, and he actually did get the win. Got the TKO win in the first round over Veretennikov, lands that big right hand, and then follows it up on the ground with some ground and pound, as you can see in that bottom picture. Chaos Williams just comes out on top. You know, statement performance for him. You know, he delivered in this fight, and you know, he blasted Veretennikov in that first round and gets a TKO win. You know, just chaos being chaos, man. Huge power shots, nonstop pressure. And once Veretennikov started wobbling, Williams swarmed in and was able to catch him with the right hands until the referee stopped it. So, yeah, Veretennikov tried to, you know, pressure early, even mixed in some clinch work and stuff like that. But Chaos kept countering with clean shots and throwing everything, you know, with as much power as he could. And about halfway through the round, the damage started piling up, and Veretennikov's legs just kind of gave out on him against the cage and was in survival mode until the stoppage. So, you know, Chaos did his thing and got a big win in the first fight of the night on the main card. So that leads us into, let me do this again because I didn't set this up. So I'm going to go back to this so I can talk about the prelims real quick before we wrap it up, because I do got to get out of here. So as far as the prelims went, you know, we had some decent prelims in there. At 36, Nikolai might be done. Maybe. Chaos is a tough opponent, but yeah, Veretennikov, he's a real streaky fighter. But yeah, let's see. Where do we start with the prelims? Tuco Tokos versus Ivan Urslan. Yeah, I mean, it was a decent fight, a little low tempo and you know, kind of grinding, but they both had their moments in the clinch. Tuco's did enough just to, you know, pressuring forward on the cage to and controlling enough to get the judges to give him that win. And Tuco's I'm sorry. Oh man, I messed that up. Urslan gets the win by unanimous decision. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Tommy Gant versus Artur Minev, not cut, but like this is title hopes. A loss in UFC is like 2 years setback. I mean, yeah, that's true. I don't know that he was really in the hunt that much, but yeah, who knows. Tommy Gant gets the win though in the second round by TKO from punches from the back mount over Artur Minev. That allows Tommy Gant to continue on his unbeaten streak. You know, he just seemed more prepared, and Minev took the bout on short notice, and Gant was able to just, you know, be relentless with the wrestling and dragged it to the mat and then just kind of broke him. So yeah, he got the job done and overwhelmed. He overwhelmed Miniev and was able to, you know, get the win there. So Tommy Gant with that second round TKO win. Next up, we had Ketlin Vieira versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Vieira gets the win by a unanimous decision. I'm not surprised this went to decision, but you know, Ketlin Vieira just looking like the veteran with a lot of experience, you know, a lot of cage control, clinch work, and good takedowns at the right times. And she neutralized Cavalcanti's movement. And you know, Cavalcanti had a few bursts of offense here and there, doing well in the range, but just couldn't keep Vieira off her rhythm of taking her down and you know, having the upper hand in the clinch work and stuff. So Vieira takes the decision cleanly and wins by unanimous decision. Next up, we had Cody Brundage versus Andre Petroski. And I didn't see this one really going this way. I thought Petroski would be able to get the best of Brundage. Both these guys are a little bit tough to bet on just because they both kind of have their moments. You know what I'm saying? Good and bad. But this was a good moment for Cody Brundage. He gets the TKO in the second round, 44 seconds in, over Andre Petroski. And you know, it was a good fight. Brundage came out aggressive, and then, you know, just landed a clean left hook, and it kind of changed everything. Petroski got clipped and got hurt, and then Brundage just swarmed him and wound up with the TKO finish. So good fight for Brundage. And that leads us to another women's fight, which was Alice Ardeline versus Polyana Viana. This one was interesting. Ardeline gets the performance of the night bonus with I saw somebody saying it was something called, there was some kind of weird name for it, but it was technically a calf slicer. Ardeline kind of got a finish, a submission that is kind of rare. The calf slicer is not as, you know, used as often as you might think, but it was kind of a, you know, a different style of calf slicer. So, you know, it was a good submission for her. She kind of just used Polyana Viana's like weight against her and kind of made her calf slice herself, which is funny. But Ardeline just, you know, she looked good in there. She looked composed and, you know, got the submission win. Viana seemed to, you know, suffer a somewhat of an injury during the exchanges or whatever. But Ardeline still got the win by submission and, you know, messed up her leg in the process. So that's a good win for Alice Ardeline. And it sounded like that was the first time that's ever been really done that way. So yeah, good win for her. Luis Gurul versus Daniel Perez, unanimous decision rule for Gurul. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, I mean, you know, there wasn't a whole lot going on there. He just kind of kept Perez guessing, mixed in the striking with some good wrestling, and then essentially just shut him down and wasn't allowing Perez to really, you know, build an offensive game. So he gets the unanimous decision win there. And then we had Nicole Cagliari versus Shauna Bannon, first fight of the night on the prelims. Cagliari comes out with a submission by arm triangle choke in the third round. And you know, they win all 3 rounds, but then, you know, later on in the third, Cagliari comes out with the submission. It was a pretty competitive fight, but she was able to lock in that submission and force the tap. And Bannon, you know, Bannon had some decent moments earlier on in the fight, but Cagliari's submission finish was just it was just too overwhelming for Shauna Bannon, and was able to catch her and choke her out. So that was it for UFC Vegas 117. Let's check out how my picks did against the Fight Wheel predictions. And that was we both picked Costa for the main event, and of course we know that Arnold Allen got that win, so we were both wrong there. Duo Choi gets the win in the co-main event over Daniel Santos. I picked Santos. The Fight Wheel predicted Choi. So 0-2 for me, 1-1 for the Fight Wheel. Malcolm Wellmaker, we both picked for the win over Juan Diaz, and we both lost that one. So 0-3 for me, 1-2 for the Fight Wheel. Not good so far. I picked Bukauskas, so did the Fight Wheel. So that's 1 win for me, 1-3, 2-3 for the 2-2 for the Fight Wheel. I picked Sopai, and the Fight Wheel picked Kuamba. So that's what is that? 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 2-3 for me, and 2-3 for the fight wheel. And then I picked Chaos Williams to beat Veretennikov, and the fight wheel predicted Veretennikov. So that's 3-3 for me and 2-4 for the fight wheel. So once again, I edged out the fight wheel, which is pretty cool. How do you feel about the weekend overall? I think it was a good weekend of fights, a good weekend for combat sports. And yeah, I had a lot of fun on the watch party. I got to cover, you know, the last few fights of the UFC main event or main card, as well as the entire main card for MVP MMA. So I thought it was a good weekend worth of fights, and it was a good time. So once again, I appreciate everybody for jumping in and hanging out with me tonight. I'm sorry, you know, it's a little bit shorter. I didn't get too deep into a lot of things, but I just wanted to make sure I got the show done, do the recap, the official recap, and you know, just get the show out there. Last time for a minute, we're going to be off for a week, but like I said, I'll be putting some content out there later on in the week. Thursday, like normal, I'll have something out there, if not before. And then I'll have something out there for Sunday as well. But I'll be back. I'll be back next week. Maybe I'll jump in on Monday, or maybe I'll just wait till Thursday and see what's going on throughout, because there's no UFC events next weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend, and, you know, they don't have anything going on. So I appreciate that, Antoine. Yeah, I'll like I said, I'll keep up, and I'll be putting something out there later on in the week. So don't forget to come back. Don't forget to come back and check out whatever I got going on. Hit that notification bell so you know when I release any kind of content or when I'm live. If you haven't subscribed already, please do that now. Hit the like button before you get out of here. If you're watching this later, please drop a like in there. I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Antoine. Appreciate you. Yeah, that's it for me. I'll see you guys in a bit. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Peace.